We now move on to the 10-minute rule motion. Zarah Sultana.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I beg to move that leave be given to bring in a bill to extend eligibility for free school meals to all children in state primary schools and for connected purposes. Madam Deputy Speaker, when I secured an opportunity to bring this bill to Parliament, I put out a call asking parents, teachers and anyone else to get in touch with me to explain the difference free school meals for all would make. And although I can't do justice to the strength of feeling conveyed to me in hundreds of emails, messages and letters I was sent, I would like to begin with a snapshot of what I was told. Peter is a teacher in Leeds who recounted a 7-year-old child at his school who burst into tears in front of him, scared that there wasn't any food at home. He told me about a Year 3 pupil who would steal bagels from the breakfast club, putting them in his bag to take home so he had something to eat later. He told me about children who brought packed lunches into school consisting of nothing but a few biscuits or a couple of slices of bread. Another teacher told me of young children who would steal food from shops on the way to school. When caught, they would explain that it was the only way that they would have food and they were too scared to ask for help. My constituent Laura told me how scared she is when her 5-year-old boy gets too old for universal free school meals and doesn't know how she'll pay for packed lunches. People who have received free school meals as children explain to me that they don't know how they would have managed without them, while others explain the shame that they felt, all the bullying they endured, being identified as a free school meal kid. Madam Deputy Speaker, my inbox is flooded with heartbreaking accounts like these. And of course, they are just a tiny example of the pain and anguish experienced when children are denied a decent meal. Today, there are around 4 million children growing up in poverty in Britain, with almost 1 million kids who live in poverty but don't have access to free school meals. That's millions of heart-wrenching accounts, just like those I've described, but won't ever get aired or acknowledged. My bill is a response to this injustice. It's a solution to children crying because they haven't had a decent meal all day, and an answer to kids feeling like they have to steal food just to get by. My bill would extend free school meals to all primary school children, guaranteeing that they get a good, healthy meal each day. And Madam Deputy Speaker, the arguments in its favour are overwhelming. The London Borough of Newham, which self-funds the policy, found that it improved concentration, attainment and behaviour. A government pilot found that free school meals resulted in children being months ahead academically, with children from the poorest background benefiting most of all. And it is no surprise, as one teacher told me, and I quote, "When the day consists of long, hungry hours where a substantial meal is nowhere in sight, who wouldn't struggle to learn and concentrate?" Not only combating educational inequality, it would improve children's health too, with just 1.6% of packed lunches estimated to meet the government's own school food standards of nutrition. It is hardly surprising that when infant free school meals were introduced in 2014 by this government, obesity rates fell as unhealthy packed lunches were replaced with healthy school meals. And Madam Deputy Speaker, the arguments why it must be for all children are equally clear. This existing mean-tested policy, where families' income must be below the horrifyingly low figure of just £7,400, as well as qualifying for certain benefits, not only excludes nearly 500,000 children who are in poverty, but moreover, it entails a complicated application process which creates a barrier for some of the most disadvantaged and marginalised communities. More fundamentally still, Madam Deputy Speaker, means testing separates children, putting labels on them and provoking stigma. That's what pupils who receive free school meals tell me. They felt embarrassed and ashamed. They would be mocked and bullied. We might wish that these things didn't happen, but they do. Earlier today, I was on Good Morning Britain, where the presenter Richard Madeley told me that even in his day, he remembered the stigma kids faced being on free school meals. That stigma is an unavoidable part of means testing, but it doesn't exist in universal provision. Free school meals for all means that all children eat together and learn together, and it avoids the trap of second-rate provision for the poorest, because too often, services just for the poor end up being poor services. Madam Deputy Speaker, The overwhelmingly clear benefits of free school meals for all are why countries from India to Sweden have adopted the policy. It's why the Scottish government implemented the policy and why the Welsh government is doing likewise too. Championed by the London Mayor Sadiq Khan, London boroughs from Islington and Newham to Southwark and Tower Hamlets are self-funding this policy, with a new Labour administration in Westminster shortly joining them. But aside from these small pockets in the capital, while children in Scotland and Wales can look forward to free school meals for all, kids in England are denied them. Now, Madam Deputy Speaker, I'm sure the members opposite want to ask the question I always get asked when I speak to the media about free school meals for all. How will you pay for it? It's always asked as if it's a gotcha, as if the aim for every child to have a good meal a day was somehow utopian, as if it was an impossible fantasy. And not only is this a strange question to ask after just being told that the policy is a reality in other parts of the UK and across the world, as if children in England were uniquely difficult to feed, it also forgets, as the members opposite of the House are only too pleased for us to forget, that there is immense wealth in this country. There was enough wealth, for example, for the Chancellor to give a tax cut to bankers worth an estimated £18 billion in the autumn statement. And there was so much wealth that the richest 177 people in the country added an extra £55 billion to their fortunes this year, taking their combined wealth to over £650 billion. And just for clarity, Madam Deputy Speaker, that's 65 and 10 zeros. But if the members opposite want a more direct way to fund it, again, an easy answer for you. Private schools. Private schools currently receive a tax break worth £1.7 billion a year, nearly double the cost of this policy. So the question I put to the House is, do we want to protect tax breaks for elite private schools, or do we want to feed hungry kids? This Conservative government is making a choice. They are choosing to protect tax breaks for the wealthy while denying food to hungry kids. Madam Deputy Speaker, free school meals for all was a vital policy before this cost of living crisis, but now it's an even more urgent demand. Families who were forced to choose between heating and eating before are now unable to do either. Parents that were just about coping yesterday cannot cope today. And this winter, a third of all children are predicted to go hungry. 70% of food banks report that they will either need to turn people away or they will have to cut the size of their emergency rations. Soaring food prices and rocketing energy bills have pushed people to the brink. Children are going to bed hungry at home, and they are forced to learn on hungry stomachs at school. Madam Deputy Speaker, let's end this injustice and guarantee every child gets a good, healthy meal each day.